What's going on, guys? Let's have a little chit chat, a little knife chat. So, in my pocket is one of my favorite knives in my collection. It is a beautiful utility tool. Okay, it does 99% of everything that I like in a knife perfectly, in my opinion, to a T. But the caveat is, I think that this is possibly one of the ugliest knives in my collection, and that's okay. I'm fine with it. This is kind of going back to the Skyline video that I posted the other day. And I do appreciate you guys keeping the comments really civil and grown up in there. And also, at the end of the day, I did still recommend that knife. It's a USA made knife with a thin blade stock, a hollow ground blade. It had a sturdy lockup. I feel like it could have been done a little better. Maybe put a liner on the other side. That's for another video, you know. I already went over that. But at the end of the day, when the liner did move, it locked up more. At the end of the day, they are very reasonably priced. And, you know, looks are subjective. So if you like that knife, I think I would recommend it. Not I think, I would recommend that knife being gifted, being purchased, maybe starting off your knife collection. It's a good knife. It's just not for me, and I tried to lay that out why it's not for me, which is what my channel is about. If I tell you that this is this way, I try to have an example. I can't always, but I try to, and show you this is why I feel like this. And also keep in mind that it's my opinion, you know, and opinions can be wrong, you know. It doesn't mean it's a fact just because somebody thinks that it's a fact. But I do my best to try to give you guys educated opinions as best as I can do. I have never led anybody wrong on purpose, you know what I mean? And I've never tried to like sell knives. So as much good as I talk about the SNG, I understand that it's not for everybody. As much as I love the Sebenza, I understand it's not for everybody. Not many people are going to want to spend that kind of money and then also beat that knife up like they would a $50 Kershaw Skyline. So I get that. I think it's awesome that that knife exists, you know. I feel like the knife community is better off for that knife existing. So I just didn't want you guys to think that I was railing so hard on that knife. And also, cool fact, the owner gave me 100% creative freedom. So with my new shop lights, with my new lighting system, I can move it, and hopefully if I can get my shop presentable, which I'm going to work on more this weekend. It's been about 3 weekends in a row I've been in there trying to get things video ready so we can start doing some DIY stuff. I want to put a choil in that Skyline, have the permission from the owner, and you know, I'll walk you guys through that in a video. I think that'd make a great video and maybe also help some of you guys out. Everybody's got to start somewhere. It's not a very hard mod as long as you know what you're looking for. So, whew, getting a little squirrely, right? I was talking about this knife being one of my favorites that I have in my collection. And what is it? What is it? Oh, so the suspense. Yep. The Spyderco Stretch 2 in ZDP 189. One of my favorite knives in my entire collection. Might be in a top 5 performing knives. And I love knives that perform. This knife would make that top 5. Hands down, without a doubt. But it is extremely ugly to my eye. It's very organically shaped. This knife has Spyderco's philosophy of we design in the dark, form over function, right? Or form follows function, not over. Form follows function. And I think this knife, there's not a better example for an ugly knife that I love, and I'm not ashamed to carry it, not ashamed to tell you guys how much I actually do love this knife. Thinly ground, thin blade stock that's also thin behind the edge, full flat grind of ZDP 189. The actual edge shape is a joy to use. It has your flat portion here, gradual belly. When you hold this knife in your hand, the tip is at a very predictable right here. It does drop just a little bit, but it's not extreme. That's another reason I do like this knife, that it does have a little bit of negative blade angle, so the blade is kicked down a little. So when you hold this knife in your hand and my hand is straight, see how the blade's kicked forward just a little bit? And what that does, you may notice it, you may not notice it. When you're cutting at a very natural straight with my wrist and I'm cutting away from me, this blade is kicked forward, almost trapping in material and pulling it into this belly here. For a knife that is supposed to slice and cut, to me, that is a great design. And again, I pointed out in that Skyline video, but it's almost like how a Karambit is very extreme, but it's like very negative blade angle. And then the blade even wraps around like a hawk's bill to pull material into the cut. That's why they're so deadly at close range, right? But this knife kind of has that negative blade angle. And you'll see a lot of Spydercos do that. This knife feels perfect in my hand. Made out of great materials. Has a lock back. Is left, right, up, down, tip up, all that. Another big plus of this knife is when I wear my work gloves, which I wear all the time. You can see. I can manipulate this knife just as well as I can with my gloves as when they're off. So, if you guys are not familiar with the Stretch 2, in the forums I read years ago when the Stretch 2 first came out, that this was Sel Glesser's attempt at his perfect EDC knife. And it's easy to see why. It gets so much right. The grip in here feels very locked into your hand with the guard here. But also with the 50-50 choil, you can choke up on the blade. And I find when you choke up on the blade, your thumb kind of rests on this ramp right here and is very natural in your hand. This is like an extension of my hand. My voice is cracking. So, also the thumb hole here has the ramp like most Spydercos. I don't have to sell you on that. I actually like the FRN version of this knife better than the version that has steel liners and has carbon fiber and that texture on the side, because to me the edges are a lot more rounded, if that can make sense. This feels better in my hand, where the carbon fiber version adds a little extra weight that I feel is not needed in the knife, and this just feels better in my hand. It's hard to explain. Some people don't like Spyderco's Volcano grip here. I really like it. I think it's a good utility tool, but again, you can't buff a turd, so I don't need this knife in carbon fiber. I don't need extra steel liners. It just is what it is. The caveat is with Spydercos and most lockbacks, they have a little bit, when you really put a lot of pressure on them, just a little bit of a movement. It's really like a flex or a click. Can you hear it? It's not bad. It still feels very sturdy. I've never had a problem with this feeling like it's going to slip or anything like that. But let's face it, it is not a triad lock. And you wouldn't think that a stop pin there for the triad lock would change the whole lockback system, but it really does. It allows that to self-adjust, and it also takes all the pressure when you're cutting down. Think I'm cutting super hard plastic or whatever. When I'm putting a lot of pressure on this knife, all this force from this tang is being transferred onto this lock bar, right? And it's being transferred way back here. So this is the actual stop pin of the knife. So you've got all this as a lever that is able to move and is made to move, right? Where a triad lock bumps it up against the stop pin. And the stop pin is way forward, which allows this back lock to be a little more angled to bite in. All of this to say, I love the triad lock, but I like this knife too, you know what I mean? I know that's confusing a little bit, but I don't know where I was going with that. I will be picking up a Cold Steel in that new CTS XHP. I always forget about it. Anybody who owns one of those, are you guys happy? My cousin has one. He loves it. But I'd really like to see what their CTS XHP heat treat is like. And I'm talking a Cold Steel, a Recon, or they've got a few models that I'm interested in. I would actually really like a Lawman in the CTS XHP. The Lawman is a beautiful knife for the money. Great. I mean, I even love my AUS 8 one. So it's okay to like ugly knives. I hope nobody was insulted, you know, that I had said that knife's ugly. I hope nobody's insulted that I said this is ugly. It just is what it is, you know? It is what it is. So that's how I feel. It's okay to like ugly knives. I like ugly knives. I own more than just this one. This is one of the best knives in my collection. It works awesome. The utility greatly outweighs the ugliness to me. It's not that ugly when it's closed. It's when you open it, in my opinion. Something happens. I feel like something right here, this big bump coming down into this blade here that's like a, like an extreme drop point or something. You see what I'm saying? I guess I'm used to Spyderco's being straight here like the Endura. I'm glad that this knife exists. I do like this knife better than the Endura. It has the choil up here. It has a little bit more ergonomic handle. It's a great knife, it really is. If you don't have a Stretch 2, you should find a way to test one out and try it. They're great. I would recommend the ZDP FRN. You're probably not going to find it in this powdered blue. You're going to have to probably get it in the British Racing Green, which I really like the green handles too. But there you go. Also, did you guys hear, if you're on Instagram, today is the 31st of March, and Strider posted something on their Instagram that they are closing after 25 years in business. What do you think? I think it's a early April Fool's joke, but I guess it could happen. It'd be a shame to see them go, but I understand that there's other people, ZT, who are making comparable knives for half the price. You know? Whether you like it or not, that's the truth. You know, so who knows? That's it. I don't want to ramble more than 13 minutes here on a Friday. What do you guys think about this knife? Am I crazy? Is this a good looking knife? Do you have a Stretch 2? It's a great knife. It really is. I have enjoyed carrying it. I might keep carrying it this weekend. So there it is. I don't know. Stay tuned, guys. I always appreciate you hanging out. See ya.